Hello, everyone. This is a game of sensibility, and swordsmanship, which is a variant of Good Society, a game played in Jane Austen's Regency, England. Only in this variant, we'll also have masked heroes in the vein of Zorro or the Scarlet Pimpernel, or more nefarious characters, actually. I am Sabine. I live in Germany. I will be facilitating this game. It has been organized via the Gauntlet calendar, which is a group of gamers playing indie games and OSR games and any kinds of games, really. You will find more about, if you want to know more about that, you would have to go to, let me look that up, gauntlet-rpg.com. It's a lovely community. We have all the kinds of games, and we have the best, well, some of the best players around. And without further ado, I would ask my players to now introduce themselves and the characters they are going to play for this lovely game. And I would go in the order of the character keeper, which was actually provided in the player documents by Storybrewers games. Haley and V, who are totally lovely creators, and they create some of the best games ever. So I'm a total fan. I'm a total fan of their character creators. And now I will give the stage to my players, and let's start with Leandro.
Hi. I don't know why I sounded hesitant there. Yeah, my name is Leandro. Use he and pronouns. For this series of Good Society, Sensibility, Swordsmanship, all the S's, I'm playing Lady Justine Griffin, who is the new arrival in town. By day, that's what she is. By day, she is a newcomer. Spent some time abroad. Plays a bored, disaffected youth for the public. But by night, she is an outlaw. She is a silent, masked ghost, a thief who steals from the rich, mainly to also get rich. She is the velvet ghost, so to speak. She was up to a lot of stuff in her time abroad, her time away from town anyway, involving a fiance that is secret, betrayal of that had dire consequences for her. And so she's come back in town to like get rich again, mostly get revenge and get this marry on happening before the love fades, because you never know what could happen, especially in games like these with people like these and players like these.
Thank you, Leandro. That was lovely. Can we hear now about from Alan about Mrs. Annabelle Hargreaves, please?
Hello, I'm Alan, he, him, and I'm playing this evening Mrs. Annabelle Hargreaves, the Dowager Mrs. Hargreaves. I think probably the oldest of the characters tonight. Her husband is dead, leaving her apparently well off. And during the day, she appears to be a conservatively dressed, but very well dressed, even matronly mother figure. By night, however, the padding is removed and she dons the mask and black cloak of the Reaper, a bounty hunter paid to bring people to justice, with a side issue around, I suppose, protecting other young women from the exploitation of men interested in only one thing, because she suffered from that exploitation as a young woman and gave birth to an illegitimate child that she gave away, or was given away. She doesn't know where that child has gone. And she's interested in one last job. She's not as well off as she appears. She needs one last job to put enough money in the bank, or the South Sea Island bubble, to see her into retirement. But unfortunately, that one last job will require the assistance of her arch enemy, of which more later.
Thank you, Alan. And let's continue with Agatha and Miss Frederica Isles, please.
Hey everyone, I'm Agatha, pronouns are she, her, and I'm playing Miss Frederica Isles. Her civilian identity is a dependent, so she is a bastard child of someone She's not sure who. At this point, it certainly is a problem for her in that she's constantly reminded of her station and her personhood by this fact. No one accepts her in society, capital S society, as part of them fully because of who she is. But right now, she also has other priorities in mind. She, I think it's in the recent years, she has she's been raised by her uncle and aunt, the Bonds, Christopher and Judith Bond, and in a tragic turn of events, her uncle Christopher has been murdered in front of her eyes by an unknown figure, and had his legendary sword taken away. Perhaps Christopher Bond is a blacksmith. I am not sure. But regardless, he's been murdered. And being the only person who's really given Frederica the kind of unconditional love, in her opinion, that she's always wanted, she knows that in order to repay for his kindness and love, she needs to avenge his death. And upon her investigations, it turns out this is a wider net of conspiracies than she had first assumed. And now she is an avenging figure on the path for justice. And by the path for justice, I mean a path of dead bodies. She is known in her masked identity as the Ivory Stiletto. And so far, she's I believe, killed 2 people. And has left an ivory stiletto by each one of them. There are still 3 left sewn into her petticoat, and she will not stop until either she is cut down or the stilettos have been distributed. She's also on the hunt for the sword, and maybe has glimpsed something that looks like it within her secret fiance's house, aka Lady Justine Griffin, and is now in some emotional turmoil over this fact.
That is a very dramatic character. I'm so curious to see her. I'll continue with Scott, please. Introduce yourself.
I'm Scott. I use the pronouns he, him, and I will be playing Hugh Botham. And as Hugh Botham, I am, let's just say, I'm too sexy for this shirt. Hugh is known for being a player, for jilting women, going from one lover to another, basically being the most unreliable person to get into a romantic relationship with if long-term goals are in mind. If short-term goals are in mind, not so bad. However, by night, I am the Lancashire lover, and my goal is to bring more romance and love into this world. And I do this by stealing articles of affection or wonderful, nice editions of poetry and giving them to more less well-off men or women who are in a romantic relationship. So I try to spur on their love and help them out. I have a very specific goal in mind, but it is my life's calling, and I must do what I do. I am also the former friend of Lady Justine Griffin, whose forgiveness I am seeking for something, and I would like to marry the Justice Phantom, who is Lord Cedric Griffin, and I will turn it over to Sabine.
Thank you. I'm facilitating, but I'm also playing a character because with an active group of people, this game doesn't really need a facilitator. It needs more drama. And so I am playing Lord Cedric Griffin, who is the younger brother of Lady Justine Griffin, not the heir, because that's Justine. And well, he is actually working at some sort of politically undersecretary function or other. He is earning money, much to the chagrin of his parents, because he is a peer. He doesn't need to work really, but well, he does. And by night, of course, he is the Justice Phantom. He's dressed in black. He speaks even more tersely than he does during the day. And he is burning for justice. Up until now, he has mostly arrested small-time criminals. But, well, after somebody murdered a relative of his with an ivory stiletto, he has a target. He needs to find the ivory stiletto, to demask them in public, humiliate them, and bring them to justice. Yes, well, okay, so these are our characters. I think I have one further question, because that is the thing between the Lancashire Lover and the Velvet Ghost. And the Velvet Ghost was left injured by something, and the Lancashire Lover left her behind. I would like to know a little bit more about this incident, and maybe the Velvet Ghost's injuries were the reason why she was sent abroad, so she could heal.
I think I don't know if it's okay with you, Scott. I think it's very much a case of maybe from the point of view of the Velvet Ghost, because she's a bit younger than the Lancashire Lover. It's very much a case of that maybe I thought that we were closer partners than I expected, and maybe like there was a job which I thought, which for me I thought was very important, but I got left behind apparently, according to this desire. So maybe I don't know if I wouldn't say the lover skipped out on me, but I very much think it's some sort of job where I was kind of left behind, whether by your whims or maybe something else happened. That means we could meet up at this sort of job, which means that I probably I want to say I won't say too injured. Maybe I think maybe I did break an arm and got close to being exposed. That's why I had to go abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what you, Scott. All right, cool.
That works.
Okay, cool. So I leave your reasons why you weren't there to protect her out, because we will hear about them when you have the scene, right? Maybe. Okay, cool. So we have already talked about lines and veils in our collaboration. Collaboration in this game means that we together talk about the tone and some way of handling the fact that this is a historical setting with some rather patriarchal overtones. We have decided that our tone will be romantic comedy with a slightly favor towards drama, which means that it's not really dark, but it's not really all about the funs either. Historical accuracy, we'll try to hit the tone of that era, but we're not too worried about the details. We have thrown off gender power balance. We have two women who are engaged. We have people who are attracted to each other or want to marry, even though they are both men, which is all very fine with us. We have chosen not to have any hidden information in the game, because that usually works better if everybody knows where we are, what the aim is and what to aim for. We have also excluded any kind of sexual violence or violence against children or animals as content in the game. And now I will also introduce the X card. The X card is a safety tool. If there is any content anybody feels uncomfortable with, or which makes the game not be fun anymore for them, please either say I'm X-card, I want to X-card this, or type it in the chat, or make a X sign somehow. Let us know there is something going on. And I would ask you then to please explain what kind of content you don't want to see. So we can leave that out, and then we will write it down in lines and veils as well. So we don't go back there and you'll have to X-card it again. That's not fun. You can X-card anything you like. You can X-card a name because you just don't like that name. I've X-carded a name because I know a guy who had that exact name, and I didn't want to constantly be reminded of him, and didn't want him to have this guy in the back of my head when I was playing that character. So it can be small stuff. You can X-card spiders or centipedes or anything like that. Okay. Yes, you can also, if you've just thought, okay, you would be okay, and you didn't X-card something, and later on you realize, no, that I don't like where this is going, please. And then you can X-card stuff even afterwards, even if you've introduced it. It doesn't matter. This is that you're all that this is a game where you should all feel good about yourself and about the game and about each other. Okay, cool. And now, without further ado, let's start. We will start, and this is the amazing character keeper. There is a cycle of play in this, and the cycle of play starts with the rooftop phase. The rooftop phase is singular to this variant of the game, where we have the Masters Heroes, and in the rooftop phase, each of us will play either a scene of their masked hero doing stuff in the night on the rooftops. The conceit is here that we are in some kind of a city. I don't think we. Oh, wait, Alan, you are a British person, and now you have you've got the card. Please tell us, which city are we in, and what should we know about it?
Well, if we go for London, so my manor house is on the edge of London, probably in Islington or somewhere. So if we go for the city of London as our nearest city, then we've all got plenty of TV trope to work with. Yeah?
Yeah, fine. Okay, so we are in the teeming and huge city of London. Lots of singular quarters, each with their own character. The Thames in the middle of it, smelling. I think that's the less is said about that, as the better it is. There is also a lot of countryside at that time around London, so we can all have our country houses and come into the town for the balls and the glittering stuff. And of course, for our rooftop phase, which is going to start now. In your rooftop phase, you can ask for a scene to either advance your desire, or you can just describe a quick vignette that shows what your character is actually doing in the rooftop phase. For the first rooftop phase, maybe it's easier if you don't go in for the huge dramatic scenes. But if you have one in mind, go for it. It's fine. Okay, I would then start in the order of the character keeper. And Leandro, you've chosen the green one, which is the first. So please take away the stage.
I keep trying not to choose the first, and it always happens. Always happens. I think will be, because we're a bit pressed for time, so I think this is going to be just a short vignette, just to see how the Velvet Ghost does her work. Why did I delete the picture? So we see, in moonlight, the rooftops of London. Just smoke about because chimneys and whatever, because it's a cold night, and darting from rooftop to rooftop is this black coated figure with a cloth mask and a pointy some weird it's not a tricorn hat, but it is certainly a hat of some sort that is pointy, and also there's like reams of white hair coming out of the hat. But most people probably knew Lady Justine, she doesn't have white hair. So clearly she's not this ghostly figure scrabbling about rooftops, trying to find shadows to hide in. And so for a while, we kind of see as she's kind of scrambling around until she finds her target for the night, which is this very fine parish church. She knows there's the Reverend there, a man with a most ridiculous name of Cuthbert Plunkett. He probably doesn't have much, the poor dear. Otherwise, why would he spend so much time with Mrs. Annabel Hargreaves? But look, sometimes the ghost steals for money. Sometimes the ghost steals because she can. And I do want to ask whoever's controlling the Reverend Plunkett, is there anything valuable in this place?
There most certainly is. So there are a lot of valuable things. There is, of course, a Bible, many Bibles, and the Bible is the most, well, I'm stopping being Reverend Plunkett now. The most valuable thing in this church, I mean, there are some silver candlesticks and stuff like that, but the most valuable thing might actually be, and that is something that Reverend Plunkett left behind because he was rushing off, and he just hid it rather badly. It's a book. It's a huge book with lovely, incredibly detailed paintings of birds, exotic birds. And it's new. It's brand new. And he's left it there because who would steal from a church? That would be such a dastardly thing to do.
Well, unfortunately, he's dealing with a dastard, and I'm going to take that book. Just cause, along with probably I'm not going to steal from the offertory. Even have to believe in a higher power. No, I will take that book, and actually no, I will take that book, but I'll flick around and I'll find maybe a picture of a shoe bill, a shoe bill bird, and I'm going to carefully rip the page off the book and just leave it there. And then off I go. Velvet goes absconding into the night. So that's my vignette. Do you think I have to pay something to do that, or can I just do that?
I think you can just do that. I mean, you could pay, you could pay a resolve token to have something valuable in the church, but I'm fine if you don't actually.
Yeah, I'm fine with the book.
The book is valuable, so. Yeah, I think you've stolen something from Plunkett. You should spend a resolve token.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
from a minor relationship.
If it was just a random NPC, but yeah, I'll definitely pay a token for that.
Very cool.
Give that to the Reverend. Sure, why not?
Oh yeah, give it to the Reverend. The Reverend loves tokens. Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, so the next one is Mrs. Annabel Hargreaves.
Yes, and we see Mrs. Hargreaves in her guise as the Reaper. One of her single most lucrative means of earning money as a bounty hunter is a contract with the residents of Bedford Square, one of the plushest Georgian squares in London. And she is employed as a thief taker. So if anybody breaks into anywhere on Bedford Square, it's the Reaper that they call to collect. And in this vignette, we see her in the moonlight, leaping from rooftop to rooftop in pursuit of a burglar. And just as we think he's going to get away, she notices a corner coming up. And instead of following him around the corner, she leaps into a tree. And from the tree to the roof, just as he arrives on it, and flings a baton at his legs and brings him down in a bundle. And then at dawn, we see him hung upside down from a lamppost on Bedford Square, waiting for the Bow Street runners to be called. And I'm content for that simply to be descriptive.
That's totally fine. Yes, thank you for that. And now let's go with Miss Frederica Isles, please. I'm very curious about what the Ivory Stiletto is doing this night.
All right. Okay, I have 3 stilettos left. So this is in one of the well-heeled neighborhoods. Question mark, question mark. Where's that? And a figure dressed in black darts into one of those townhouses. I don't know. And yeah, I think the figure jumps in from one of those second floor balconies, eases the window open, and steps in. She walks her way down the carpeted hallway, padding silently to one door. Again, as quietly as possible. I believe she actually she takes out a vial, and in there is oil, and drips it on the hinges before opening the door. Inside is a giant chamber, and I believe where the master of the house is sleeping, because I'm pretty sure that the master and mistress of the house sleep in separate chambers normally. So steps in, sees the figure sleeping on the bed rather fitfully, I would say, and has to take a moment to steel herself, because this is when her hands have been very steady all this time, but now they're starting to shake, because they always do, unfortunately. And she steps closer and steps on one of the floorboards that creaks very loudly, freezes, and the man grunts like, like he's about to wake up, but then turns, still asleep, and she steps closer again. She doesn't look at his face because she doesn't want to. Instead, she draws a dagger from wherever one keeps daggers on their bodies, and takes another deep breath, and very swiftly, one hand on the man's mouth, the other hand cuts his throat, and she wipes the dagger on his silk pillow, and retrieving from her petticoat one of the small ivory stilettos, and leaves it beside his gurgling body.
I would say lovely, but it was very gruesome. I loved it.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
I would like to. Should I spend a token to kill this man?
He was not a minor connection, nothing. I don't think so. You don't have to, because that's just color, actually. It's pretty bloody color, but well.
All right. Cool.
And Scott, what do we see the Lancashire lover doing?
We see Hugh Botham leaving dinner with Lavinia Dartmouth, his current um, um, target of his affections, shall we say. gets into his coach. Then we see the coach quietly stopping in a deserted alley in London. The door opens and out steps a lithely dressed, not lightly dressed, one doesn't dress lithely, a stylishly dressed man in a black, almost bodysuit with a cape, also black, but the inside is a burgundy red, and a burgundy red mask over his eyes, and he lithely climbs up the roof, hops over into goes roof to roof into Bedford Square, wherein he locates the post office, breaks in, and takes some incriminating letters from one of the Bedford Square residents who is currently engaged in some extracurricular activities on his wife, and that's what we see him doing.
Okay, so now it's the Justice Phantom's turn, and I would like to spend a token to see the ivory dagger slip out of the townhouse where she just murdered this poor sleeping relative of the family Griffin.
Did you?
If that's okay for you, with you, you would get it then.
The ivory stiletto? Yes.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Exactly.
Yes, of course. Give me that token.
Take it. And I think he would see that there's some dark figure slipping out of the house, and he would rush to the house because he is worried. But he thinks he's on time. He thinks he's spooked her away. He is dressed also in a very dark in black. Of course, he's dressed in black. He is also wearing a very stylish tricorn hat that looks weirdly like the Velvet Ghost's hat, actually, but he doesn't have white hair coming out of it. But you might mistake the one for the other if you weren't looking too closely. He rushes into the house, hoping that he and he stops at the window and looks after the ivory stiletto and says, "I hope I came here just in time. Please, God, let me have been in time." And then the camera veers away from him into the moonlit bedchamber, where we can see a blood puddle growing.
Great.
Yeah, and that ends up our. I have to.
I have a question about
Yes.
resolve tokens.
Yes.
So, how many do we each start with?
2. And if you spend one, you just take it away. And if you get one, you'll just mark it as a third. The ones with the what are these things called?
Boxes?
Marks? The
Check
box.
marks?
The
Tick
boxes.
boxes. Tick boxes.
Yes, the ones with the ticks on them are. They mean this is the token you have, and if you click it off and it's empty, the tick box is empty, then you spend it.
So my question is, how did Hugh Botham get 3?
So the his desire starts with an extra one, but I start with a rumor in play already and a negative tag.
That's very cool.
So my negative tag is, I think I put not to be trusted, and of course the rumor that's currently available is years ago Hugh Botham jilted Annabelle in front of an entire ball.
Whoa! That I see. That is a terrible rumor. Great, thank you for explaining.
And you get another one too, because I've spent it, and I've seen you that you are the murderer of my whatever he is, relative, cousin, probably.
Cousin thrice removed.
I was hoping you hadn't done for Viscount Luther Griffin so swiftly.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I would. You should have actually said no. Don't do that because that's a minor connection you control, and then you would have had to argue, and probably would have come to nothing. She might have been detected. Well, okay. So now we've done the rooftop phases, and well, I love that we all did vignettes, and what I suggested it's also totally possible to invite another character into your rooftop scene, like I did with the ivory stiletto. That I said, okay, she's there. We could have had a chase now, but we didn't. But we
Oh, did you want to chase? Wait, what?
No, I don't think so. Not now, because I would lose you because it's just in the beginning. Or do you want to have a chase? Do you want to see how we do that in that game?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Okay. Cool. So that is a daring deed. We have chase. How exciting. That's a daring deed. And now I have to wake up my PDF to look at how a daring deed works. I've done it, but great. Evil plot. I don't want an evil plot. Okay, so the daring deed. There it is. Okay, daring deeds. We both declare our ideal outcome. What does our character want? What is our character's ideal outcome in this scene? And my character's ideal outcome is, of course, that he wants to capture the ivory stiletto. But what is your ideal outcome?
My character's ideal outcome, or
yeah,
me?
Your character's ideal outcome, not yours.
For the ivory stiletto, it would be to get away.
Cool.
Without being tracked to where she might be living.
Okay. So we have two conflicting ideal outcomes, obviously. And now we have to kind of decide if we both want to give a little and see if we can come up with a mutually beneficial or a solution we would both agree on. So I would say, okay, you can get away. But I would like to find a clue to your identity or where you're hiding or something like that.
Interesting. I was gonna say that maybe there's like a point in time where you almost catch me, and I think you can see a part, or I don't know, like all of my face. I don't know. It doesn't super matter to me. Like, but you definitely see at least a part of my face. So then, if you were to see me in real life, you'd be like, "Oh, that looks really familiar." Question mark. Question mark.
Yes, I love that. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what happens. So let's describe this a bit. What we're doing now, because you're running and I'm running after you, and describe how you're running. Now I know what I mean.
Knees up. Okay, so I mean, I guess I'm like trying to jump from rooftop to rooftop, but I assume that is also a very strenuous activity, considering that these roofs are very sloped, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But hey, it's you can go a bit wuxia on this.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, so I
mean, Zorro doesn't worry about slopes when he jumps from roof to roof.
That's true. Tom Cruise doesn't worry. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so I'm hopping from rooftop to rooftop, and I feel like where because I definitely have a head start, but where you might gain ground on me is I think, oh, I know, my petticoat gets snagged, and so I have to stop to check if I've lost my ivory stilettos.
Yeah, and I'm gaining on you, and I'm seeing that you're ordering your petticoats, and instinctively I stop because you're that a gentleman doesn't go at a lady when she's ordering her petticoats. That would be just crude. And then of course I realize that you're a criminal, a murderer, and I'm a justice phantom, and I yell at you to stop. I have you now. And then I will of course draw my rapier and have at you.
Yeah, when I've touched that part of my petticoat and know that the two ivory stilettos are still there, instinctively when you shouted at me, I turned around. I don't know if my face is covered. When these like masked identities, are we literally masked?
Yeah, I am wearing sort of. Yeah, I'm wearing a Zorro mask actually.
Oh, great.
Mhm.
I would like to wear also a black mask, because and have a part of it something that is associated with mourning, as opposed. So it's not an extravagant mask or even
You could wear a widow's veil.
a veil.
Yeah, a widow's veil,
I guess,
like you would wear if you're a widow, like some lacy veil you can see through, but people can't see your face.
but I'm not a widow though. That's weird.
Yeah, well, it's associated with mourning. So
Do people wear veils for people who are not their husbands?
I have no
Yeah, I
idea.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Okay.
entire family goes into mourning.
yeah. Formal mourning clothes are a thing.
Mhm.
Okay. I think I'm actually wearing formal morning clothes.
Oh, wow.
However, whatever that means. Yeah, I'll change my description.
Mhm.
And so you can see half of my face from, and even a little bit through the veil as well.
Mhm.
And then I also suddenly realize, oh, we're not. I'm not in my normal identity. I need to run, and so I dash off.
Cool. And I will be surprised because I was standing there like, no, let's have a fight, and you're just turn and run, and of course you do that. You're a criminal, and then I'm running after you, but I'm losing ground now, and I'm losing you, and then I'm running back to see if I was on time, and then we have this whole blood pool scene. Yeah, something like that. It's pretty dark anyway. We're both dressed in black, so it's rather easy to lose each other. Okay, so that is how the dramatic, the daring deeds work, that two players have to find a common ground. We could have gone to a bidding with resolve tokens, but, well, I think finding the solution that both players agree on is rather easy. Okay, now we have done this. We would go to the novel phase. Yes, and I'll click this rooftop phase. Novel phase means this is our first novel phase, and I think, yeah, well, I think we should maybe decide what our first novel phase is going to be. And since we're only got 15 minutes left, I would say then maybe each of us we can just find out where we all going to meet. This is a ball or something big, where every character would be there, and then we will try to fight for our civilian desires, actually, or maybe the others too.
Mrs. Hargreaves is very willing to organise a soiree after church on Sunday.
Okay, would she invite everybody?
She's a very hospitable woman. Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. I can see how she went through that money. She always invites the whole parish and people who come by the parish and people she might have known and people whose cards somebody left on her table. Yeah, but I like that. It's a soiree,
And,
so it's not.
Could it possibly be to introduce, just let me think, the widow Bond and her daughter into society? Because the widow Bond is a distant and genteelly poor relation.
Ooh, I like that. Is that okay for you? With you, Agatha? Because you're the widow Bond's daughter, niece.
Sure, I'm cool with it. I'm interested in Leandro's interpretation of this lady with a pinched mouth on a faded impression of a woman.
You can just imagine it. Doesn't mean I'll do it. Like here.
Okay, so who's going to be there? Justine and Cedric, I guess. But are their parents? Yeah, their parents are probably invited as well because, like,
I think that their parents are invited because I'm a Mrs.
mhm.
and they're a Viscount. So I think that probably I'm very keen to have the Viscount Griffin and all his clan attend my soiree.
Yay.
That would be very, very advantageous to me socially.
Mhm.
And so that sucks in all the Griffins. And I think I'm quite interested in inviting Lord Dartmouth and his daughter. And then I might be slightly shocked to discover that a certain Mr. Botham turns up. Yeah,
Sounds good.
because I just like the idea of almost every character we've defined being in at least adjoining rooms on a peaceful summer Sunday afternoon with the gardens available.
I think the Reverend will be there too. He's properly devastated over the loss of his book, and he'll have his Schubel picture and showing it to everybody. Because look at this beautiful picture. He's really heartbroken.
And Viscount Griffin, I think, have terribly small sitting rooms, aren't they?
Oh yes.
One must do something for social advancement, I suppose.
What about Orlando St. George? Can Orlando St. George also be there?
Oh
course,
yes,
I think.
Yeah, I think. Is it Orlando, or does Mrs. Hargreaves know them as Orlando?
Oh, I'm gonna field this question to Scott.
I'd say yes, Orlando when they are dressed in women's clothes, and Orlando when they are dressed in men's clothes.
And this is just the norm, right? Like
Orlando,
they're not.
regular attendee at church.
Of course. Why? Of course. I want to be saved.
Huh.
I could imagine that it's slightly outlandish, but it's not. It's within the norms.
So,
Like,
so are they just like the eccentric
yeah.
aunt/uncle?
Brits are great and eccentric people. I
Right.
think I've heard.
Great.
No, we're not.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I think Giles Beauclerk won't be there, right?
No,
because he's an extra character that I
Yeah.
created that is not.
Yeah, and
In
I don't
rotation.
think an underworld contact informant would be very appropriate. Okay, so let us leave this lovely evening. It's in the midday, right? Let's just leave this to the closing credits, and then we have an after scene where we will see describe what this looks like.
Yes, the manor house is set in in gardens. There's an orchard. There is the quacking of do geese quack? No, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
There is the honking,
Honk, honk.
honking of geese on the pond. There is blossom on the trees, and it's quite a gorgeous scene. Though under the surface, we focus on the flaking paint on the windows and the slightly a crack in the French windows glass, and a great deal of fuss by rather too few servants below stairs, desperately pulling together an appropriate tea time feast for this very, very important group. Because the Viscount Griffin doesn't often attend this church. He usually attends the cathedral in the town next along. Yeah?
And just to confirm, we are no longer in London.
This is in Islington, on the edge of London.
Okay, got
At this point, anything out in kind of outside the centre of London was in the country. So the village of Islington.
And then we will see, I think, maybe the coach of Viscount Griffin and his family arrive. And is everybody in the coach? Justine, are you?
Yeah, I'm looking boredly out of the window because I am bored. Or pretending to be bored. No, I think I'm definitely bored.
Come along, Justine. Back up.
She looks at you and says, like, what?
And Mama, you are in the coach? Scott, I think you're Mama.
Yes, I am in the coach. And this is not proper. We've just finished church, but fine, because you wanted to come, if we must. But I will not stay long.
We need to get the children out more. Give
This
them a
holy day.
decent group of friends.
No, it's the holy day. We should be home reflecting. But we're here, so just go. Go have fun.
I think Cedric is actually not in the coach. He's coming late because he had to do some work things, he says.
Where is that bloody boy?
He's living a life, dear Papa. That's what he's doing.
When will he grow up into his responsibilities, for God's sake?
I guess that depends on
Sorry,
your
Sybil, didn't mean to take the Lord's name in vain.
I can't do this. Justine's just like, okay, now they can just talk. I can just look out the window and
it's pretty landscape.
Yeah, pretty landscape. It's the two of them. God damn it.
And Cedric will draw up with the coach on his horse. He will look a bit distracted, but try to pull himself together. He is very well dressed, at least, with a stovepipe hat. What are they called? These thingies?
Top hat?
Top hat, right, with a top hat. And he's somberly dressed, I think.
I think I run as soon as I see him away from Rent. I just kind of grab his hand. It's like, Cedric! Oh, my dear.
My darling.
Oh, I've missed you so much. Come on, we must chat. It has been a good few hours since I've seen you, and frankly, there's too much time has passed. And I'm gonna drag him away from our parents, please.
Yes. So he looks over to his parents, makes a courteous bow, and then leaves quickly with Justine because there is a very interesting apple tree over there. And have you seen those blossoms? You should. I think one of your childhood friends painted an aquarella painting of this, and like they are walking into the house.
And Luther turns to Sybil and says, "Why is he wearing that silly hat? A tricorn's good enough for most people."
I'm so scared to interact with Luther.
Then I have to say, I'd like to have a quick conversation with Mrs. Bond and her daughter.
Ooh. Okay, so
I want to see Mrs. Bond portrayed.
Oh, true. Yeah. How are we arriving?
you tell me
Like-
since you created Mrs. Bond. Is it in the coach as well, or gone?
No, we're obviously not traveling together because we don't know them that well. We are in some kind of not rented. Handsome cab question mark? Is that a thing?
Hired?
Is
Hired?
it likely that Mrs. Hardgreaves sent her coach for you?
Hmm.
Oh, maybe.
Um,
Yeah. That makes
and-
sense.
You know, if you wanted to, you could be living on a small cottage on the edge of the estate in genteel poverty.
Yes, that makes sense. Charity and all that. Yes.
Yeah. And I
So we are actually not arriving by carriage then if we're just living on a right? Like we would just
I
walk
think
there?
you could have walked across the grounds. But
Yeah.
it probably means that you will arrive with a slightly muddy skirt.
Oh, 100%. And I am wearing the same dress that I always seem to be wearing. It is quite a few years out of fashion. And it has been, yeah, like it has been patched discreetly so that with cloth that is of a similar color, but it can still be noticeable, really, to anyone. And I believe I am outgrowing it a little bit. So, or I have outgrown it. I'm 19. I have outgrown it a little bit. So it is just a little short on the sleeves and a little short on the hems. Not improperly so. That would never do. But it's just, it is what it is. It is also fastidiously kept. So it has been as well taken care of as possible. And aside from our muddied hems, I believe we are very proper as much as we can be.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Bond's dress is a bit less patched. I think you can probably tell she tries to be very careful with it, and normally would like not even bring it up on for the most special of occasions. And I guess this is special enough because it's an invitation from distant relative who's keeping us on here for charity. And I think as you're kind of walking, Judith sighs and is like, "Oh, I had hoped that Miss Hargreaves had sent for a cab. But I suppose we'll make do."
Yeah, I don't think I say anything because an answer has not been expected of me.
And I guess you will arrive at the back door.
I think so.
Yeah. Now, yeah, as they kind of enter the back door, she turns to you and says, "Now, Frederica, I hope you'll know how to comport yourself in this society."
Yes, ma'am.
Myself and Christopher did not spend our time making sure you grow up to be a fine young woman and then have you disprove everything he's done for you.
And I'm kind of like watching the hem of my skirt and the way that the mud is now drying a little bit and it's crusting. No, ma'am.
She kind of like, no, she doesn't smile. Her mouth is pinched, and maybe a tiny curl. Here.
A pinched smile is a thing.
Yeah. I don't think. Look, if she's gonna smile, it has to be a big thing, especially if it's towards you. So Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think she does try and says, well, you know, my dear, I know Mrs. Hargreaves and I very much doubt that she would keep company with those who would find people of your ancestry to be of low sort. I'm very sure you'll find a warm welcome here. You can tell she doesn't. I don't think she believes that as much as you'd like her, but yeah.
No, ma'am. And I think I turn and I head off to flag someone hurrying in and out of the servants area, the quarters, maybe the kitchen, whatever, you know, the back, to get someone to help clean our skirts, as is our habit. I think this is like how we interact with each other.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Could that be the point that Mrs. Hargreaves bustles into the kitchen, wondering where lunch is, and to find her servants distracted by the skirts of her poor relations? Oh, cousin Judith, I wondered where you were. Do come through. And then I think she probably lumbers them with the Reverend Plunkett.
Oh my God. I think as Judas is about to apologize for her state, but here comes the Plunkett.
Yeah, here comes the Plunkett. How are we for time? Because I think I said 3 hours, and we'll be there. And should we call it an introductory scene and go at it next time, or can we do a bit more?
Yeah, could we just have Hugh arrive?
Yeah, I would love that.
His entrance. So we walked across the church grounds, right? That's what you said, Alan. So walking across the church grounds are Lavinia Dartmouth, whose dress is also getting muddy, and somehow sparklingly clean, having walked through these muddy grounds. Hugh Botham stands next to her and says, "Darling, why don't you see if they can help you clean your dress? I have some business to attend to." And he then walks up to the closest non-partnered, let's see, we'll go with a male today, and say, "Why? You're looking rather scrumptious today." And that's scene.
I love that entrance. Okay.
Shall I stop the broadcast? I'll wait for you to tell me to stop the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I was going to say something.
Oh, no, I didn't realize. I was like, who the heck is Lavinia Dartmouth? And then I scrolled down and I was like, oh, an extra connection. Got it. I was just confused.
Props to Alan. Alan actually created her. She's in the notes from Alan. So I just copied her down and made a second connection with her.
She's his next victim and my next protective case.
Yeah.
Right. That was the letter that was stolen. Okay, but I would say we have finished our overshot our time, and I really should get to bed, and maybe some of you too. And it was lovely. I'm very curious to see where this is going. I really want to apprehend the ivory stiletto, or maybe get stabbed by her or something like that. That would be lovely. I mean, and yeah. Okay, so see you in the cinema next week. Alan, would you please stop the broadcast?